Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today, we are diving into, well, a truly extraordinary place. We're exploring the unique potential of Yemen as a travel destination, pretty unlike any other.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got a really fascinating stack of notes and articles for this deep dive. Some insights are drawn from FlightNHotels.com. They cover the history, the just astonishing beauty, and also, the practical side, the logistics of actually visiting Yemen today.
Right, so our mission here is to cut through all this material, pull out the most captivating nuggets, not just about the incredible wonders Yemen holds, but also how the whole idea of traveling to these, off the beaten path places is presented, how it's maybe becoming more accessible through modern tools. Let's jump in.
Okay.
So first off, let's just ground ourselves. Where exactly is Yemen?
It sits right in the southwestern corner of the Arabian Peninsula. Pretty strategic spot, actually.
And historically, these sources really emphasize its deep roots, don't they?
Oh, massively.
Yeah.
It's known as the ancient land of Sheba. That name alone, conjures up millennia of history. It's intrigued travelers for centuries.
Yeah. And while the sources definitely acknowledge, the history of political instability in the past, they really seem to focus on the potential for the truly adventurous traveler. The core appeal, as they present it, it's this chance to witness incredibly authentic Arab culture and heritage that feels, in many ways, genuinely untouched by, modern globalism.
And what's really striking in these descriptions is the sheer diversity of the landscape. You might immediately picture desert ranch.
Yeah, mostly.
But the sources talk about surprisingly lush mountains, these intricate terraced farms sort of clinging to the hillsides, vast desert plains, and completely unspoiled coastlines that lead to these vibrant coral reefs. It honestly sounds like several different countries rolled into one.
That's amazing. So based on this material then, what's the compelling reason? Why would someone feel drawn to visit a place like Yemen?
Well, the sources paint this picture of a country where ancient traditions haven't just, survived. They're still very much alive and part of daily life. You combine that cultural depth with those varied landscapes we just talked about.
Right.
And it's suggested it appeals to a whole spectrum of interests. The dedicated historian, the passionate nature lover, the cultural explorer, looking for genuine connection. Even the travel photographer searching for truly unique shots. It seems to promise experiences you can't find anywhere else.
And the material points to specific highlights to back this up.
Definitely. We're talking about significant UNESCO World Heritage Sites, incredible ancient Islamic architecture, authentic Arabian markets, or souks, as they're called, these exotic islands, with completely unique ecosystems, rare biodiversity, and interestingly, consistent mentions of warm and incredibly hospitable local people. That comes up again and again.
Okay, that hospitality point is interesting, but it raises the big question for anyone thinking about this. Where specifically would you even go?
Right. Yeah, the sources detail some absolute must-see places.
So, leading the list is Sana'a, the historic capital.
Old Sana'a is highlighted specifically. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And get this, one of the world's oldest continuously inhabited cities. Just think about that history.
Wow. Continuously inhabited. That's incredible.
And what really stands out in the sources is the architecture there. It's described as just a marvel of Islamic design. Not just for the sheer number of buildings, like over 100 mosques, 14 hammams. Those are the public baths. And literally thousands of these distinctive multi-story mud brick tower houses. But it's how unique and tall they are. They create this skyline unlike anything else on Earth, really.
So specific spots mentioned there.
Yep. They point out the historic Bab al-Yemen, which is the Gate of Yemen, the really impressive Al-Salah Mosque, and the National Museum of Yemen for context.
Okay. Next one that immediately grabs your attention from the notes. Socotra Island. It's got this nickname, right? The Galápagos of the Indian Ocean.
Exactly. And that nickname tells you so much. The source is presented as Yemen's most stunning natural treasure. And its isolation, being cut off from the mainland for millions of years, has led to something incredible. Unique biodiversity.
Okay.
They mentioned over 700 endemic species. That means species found absolutely nowhere else on Earth.
Nowhere else.
Yeah. The iconic dragon blood trees, you've probably seen pictures with their weird umbrella shape. They're a perfect example. Plus, you've got these stunning white sand beaches, coral-rich waters, perfect for diving.
So what do people do there?
Activities mentioned range from hiking in the dramatic Hayir Mountains to snorkeling and diving, and apparently fantastic bird watching. It just sounds completely otherworldly.
It really does. Then there's Shibam. Another amazing nickname. The Manhattan of the desert.
And it totally earned it. This walled city is presented as, well, arguably the world's first true skyscraper city.
Skyscraper city. But how?
It's made entirely of mud brick towers, some rising as high as 11 stories. Can you imagine? All from mud brick.
That's unbelievable.
It's another UNESCO site. And yeah, that image of these ancient-looking mud brick towers soaring against the desert sky. It's unforgettable. Hence the Manhattan of the desert thing.
Okay, incredible. The sources also point to the Almawit and Haraz Mountains. What about those?
Right. These areas really showcase the human ingenuity interacting with Yemen's landscape.
Yeah.
They're rich in this ancient terraced agriculture fields carved into the mountainsides and dotted with these stone villages that look like they're literally clinging to the cliffs.
No.
They're noted as being particularly popular for trekking and photography. Apparently the views, especially around sunrise and sunset, are just spectacular.
Makes sense. And we can't forget Aden, described with coastal beauty and colonial history.
Yeah, Aden offers a different flavor. It was once a major port under the British Empire, so there's that layer of history. But the sources also mention ancient fortresses, dramatic volcanic craters nearby, and beautiful beaches. It shows Yemen isn't just mountains and desert. It's got this coastal aspect, too.
Right, a real mix. And finally, Marib. This one sounds deeply connected to that ancient past, the Kingdom of Sheba.
Exactly. It's identified as the former capital of the ancient Sabaean kingdom. So really, really old. And it's home to incredibly important archaeological sites. The Great Dam of Marib is specifically called out, noted as being over 2,000 years old.
Few thousand years.
Yeah. These sites offer this tangible link back to that deep, almost legendary history you read about.
Okay, so the sources paint this incredibly vivid picture of why you might want to visit and where you could potentially go, but they also get real, don't they, about the fact that planning a trip to a country like Yemen, well, it requires navigating some pretty complex logistics.
Exactly. It's not your average holiday plan. And this is where some of the source material we looked at introduces FlightNHotels.com. It's described in the material as a modern online travel booking platform, designed for global travelers.
And the suggestion in these sources is that platforms like this could potentially help simplify the planning, even for destinations that seem challenging, like Yemen.
That's the angle presented. They claim to allow you to compare and book flights from various international and regional airlines, reserve hotel rooms from a range of options, and even rent cars across different cities. The idea presented is putting more of that planning process directly in your hands.
What's particularly highlighted, though, is that claim you mentioned earlier that you could potentially plan your Yemen adventure with just a few clicks using this platform.
Yeah, that's a pretty bold statement, isn't it? Given the potential complexities of travel there.
It is. But the sources do detail how the platform is presented as making it possible, or at least easier. For flights, for example, they note availability into Aden International Airport and Sana'a International Airport, but from selected hubs, places like Cairo, Djibouti, and Amman.
Right, so not from everywhere directly.
Exactly. And the platform features mentioned focus on letting you search for real-time flights, compare prices across the airlines that do fly there, set price alerts, and book securely.
And for accommodation.
Similarly, it's described as letting you compare hotels based on various criteria: price, user ratings, how close they are to attractions you want to see, amenities like Wi-Fi, breakfast, shuttle services, that sort of thing.
So basically helping you find a suitable place in what might be pretty unfamiliar locations.
Yeah. And for getting around once you're actually there, it mentions supporting booking rental cars. Suggesting the possibility of, road trips to see those mountain villages or other sites.
Okay. And the sources also touch on using the platform to maybe save money.
They do. They mention things like potential bundle deals, combining flights, hotels, maybe a car loyalty rewards programs, flash discounts, seasonal offers.
The usual ways booking platforms try to offer value. The emphasis seems to be on making the booking process itself user-friendly and potentially more affordable.
The steps described are pretty standard. Visit the site, enter your details, compare the results, filter them, book securely.
Right. So beyond the booking tools, though, the sources also provide some crucial practical travel tips specifically for visiting Yemen. Stuff you really need to know.
Absolutely. Top of the list is safety.
Definitely. Emphasizing the absolute need to check current travel advisories before you even think about planning anything, and strongly considering hiring a local guide or using a tour operator. That local expertise is likely invaluable on the ground.
Makes sense. Respecting local customs is also highlighted. Specifically, dressing modestly. That's key for cultural sensitivity anywhere, but especially here.
Yep. And travel insurance is flagged as very highly recommended. I mean, it's essential for any trip, really, but perhaps even more so for an adventurous one like this.
Good point. They also advise bringing cash, specifically US dollars. Apparently, credit card acceptance might be very limited outside of maybe major hotels or points.
That's a critical practical tip. Don't rely on plastic.
And a really nice practical one, too. Learning a few basic Arabic phrases, it's mentioned as being genuinely appreciated by locals, which can really enhance your interactions, right?
Totally. Goes a long way.
So, okay, let's try and bring it all together then. Yemen is presented through these sources as this incredibly enigmatic travel destination, offering just unparalleled experiences.
Yeah, from ancient living cities and dramatic mountain landscapes to these unspoiled islands with bizarre, unique nature. It's got it all.
And the material suggests that while, yes, the logistics of visiting require careful planning and a lot of awareness, platforms like the one discussed are presented as potentially making aspects of that planning, like finding flights and accommodation, simpler, maybe safer, maybe even more affordable for really determined travelers. So the core takeaway from digging into these sources seems to be this. Yemen is a land just brimming with extraordinary history, unique natural wonders, and beautifully preserved culture. It promises a truly profound, truly adventurous travel experience.
And while navigating the practicalities of actually doing such a trip absolutely demands careful consideration and research. Modern tools, like the booking platforms mentioned, are presented as offering new ways to potentially approach and navigate those logistics. Makes it seem perhaps a little less daunting for some.
Which leaves us with this final thought for you, the listener, to consider based on everything we've unpacked here today. You have this place described as hidden gem, steeped in such ancient traditions, such unique landscapes. And now it's potentially becoming more accessible through technology, through platforms designed for global travelers, just a few clicks away, as the source claimed.
So what does it truly mean for a place like Yemen, a place described in such almost timeless terms, to step onto this stage of modern click-away travel?
Yeah, how do those two worlds coexist? Or do they? What happens when a hidden gem starts appearing on booking sites? Something to think about.